Hello everyone, welcome to a vlog entry. I haven't done one of these in a while. I wanted to say what up to all the new subscribers. Also, thanks for all the lovely supportive words from my last video, which was how I got paralysed, because I never really told that story in the long form before, and it seemed to go down pretty well. So thank you for all your supportive comments. It's been 2 years since my injury, and it's pretty crazy. I wanted to say, actually, there was a guy called Darren Smith. What up, Darren? He started commenting on a load of my old vlogs, like my really old early vlogs from when I was in rehab, saying like how good they were, and I was like, oh, thanks, man. But it actually inspired me to watch them again. And I remember like I watched these last night. I went down the rabbit hole, and I was like, man, they are actually really good. They're really quite funny and like entertaining. And he said, look, I'm going to put you over the toilet. This was after I put this thing in my bum. By the way, if you want to know what it looks like, here it is, baby. Whoop! That's going in my bum later. You're going in my bum. And I just remember thinking like how far I've come in those last 2 years, where I was getting like really scared of like little hills in the road, and I was saying, oh, you know, one day I'm going to be like this really confident wheelchair guy. And you know, I see videos of people, like disabled people, just like whipping around and doing really cool stuff, you know, like it just seems like, and I want to be that guy. I want to be, you know, I'm confident that I will one day be that confident, you know, disabled guy who's whatever, like whether I get my legs back or not, I'm going to try and make the most of life, you know. There's just such a huge distance between me and that guy, and it made me realize it yesterday. And I feel like I am that guy now. It's pretty crazy. I just really enjoyed reminiscing. It was a lot of nostalgia about the old days, and I was like really positive before I went into the deep depression. All the morphine helped, of course. I was like off my tits on morphine most of the time, but it was still pretty good. And reminiscing, it was really good. So thanks, Darren, for making me go down that old road of the old vlogs. So it also inspired me to make a new vlog. So that's today. I wanted to say that I'm back at rehab again, which is really nice. They tried to make me go to rehab, and I said, yes, please. That would be lovely. Good excuse to get out of the house, get exercising, get stretched, get in the swimming pool, do stuff like that. It's just snowed again. The irony of like how the snow used to be my playground, and now it's like my prison. It's so funny. When it snowed, like my comfort zone got so much bigger because I could go everywhere, you know, like, you know, wow, just like powder day, like the mountains were my playground. And now when it snows, I get like a little bit upset, really, like, you know, because normally it just snows up in Avoria, but now it snowed down in Morzine. There's just so much bloody snow everywhere, and it's really annoying. So now when I see the snow, I'm just like, again, really, another 50 centimeters. It's so annoying because the car gets covered in snow, like, and just everything's more difficult to navigate in the snow. The taxi came to pick me up for rehab yesterday, and literally we had to like dig a little path just to get to the car door. It was crazy. But generally they do a really good job of like clearing the roads, and the neighbors like do a really good job of clearing the paths and everything like that. And it's 1,000 times better than the old apartment I used to live in. But still, you know, from my playground to my prison, it's just irony. So back at rehab, and you might be thinking like 2 years on, what are you still doing at rehab? Well, basically, one of the main things I suffer with is spasticity in my legs, which I've documented in my old videos. I'm trying to provide some much needed relief for these involuntary muscle spasms, which contracting my muscles, and once the muscles get short, it's very hard to lengthen them again. The next logical step, seeing as the Botox doesn't really seem to be working, is a Baclofen pump. And for those of you that don't know what a Baclofen pump is, it's a little pump that sits underneath the skin. So it's implanted, it's a little device that's implanted in you, and it pumps a drug called Baclofen into your spinal column, which provides relief for spasticity. Now, Baclofen is a medication I take orally. I'm on the maximum dosage, even like a little bit more than the maximum dosage, and I still suffer quite a lot. So hopefully fingers crossed, this Baclofen pump will provide some much needed relief for me so I can just get on with my life without having to constantly spend a lot of my day pacifying my spasms, which can be a gift and a curse, but I don't want to delve too much into that at the moment. I've spoken about it in previous videos. However, I will just say the Baclofen pump delivers, I think, 1,000 times less Baclofen, and it's 100 times more efficient because it doesn't have to like go through, you know, your kidneys and your liver and like some of it end up in your spinal cord. It's literally just a tiny little bit that's delivered on a timer. And again, fingers crossed, this could be the solution that will enable me to just not worry about spasms and just get on with my life. So fingers crossed. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about was, I just wanted to have a little rant because there's something that's been really irking me. And, you know, if there's any sort of platform where I can have a little rant, it's this, it's my YouTube channel. So I'm going to talk about it. And that is Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai is a series on Netflix, which is about the old Karate Kid. So I'll give you a little bit of background. If you've ever seen the old Karate Kid movies, this series was quite good. Like series 1 was like quite intriguing because they've got the original cast from the movie and it's like they're all grown up, they're living in the same town. And I was like, oh, cool, it's quite nostalgic. I remember the old Karate Kid, you know, Mr. Miyagi, Daniel LaRusso. And I was like, sweet, man, it's quite cool. Anyway, fast forward, end of series 2. This kid, Miguel, gets kicked off this balcony, falls down, breaks his back. He suffers a spinal cord injury. At the beginning of season 3, he wakes up, he's paralyzed from the waist down. And I could see this coming. It's so predictable. I said to Lil, I bet he recovers. Like, there's no way that they're going to have a character in a wheelchair. And, you know, I put money on it. And yes, like a 5-minute montage later of his sensei saying, don't be a pussy, man. Don't be a pussy, Miguel. Stand up. He miraculously walks again, not only walks again, but makes a full recovery, no secondary complications. Not only that, he starts practicing karate again. Now, I haven't finished this series because, well, I don't know, I've really lost interest in it, but I can almost guarantee, I'll put money on it, that not only does he make a full recovery, he goes on to win some sort of karate competition at the end. But my beef was the narrative that was pushed, that was because he had a spinal cord injury, everyone was really sad because his life was over. He couldn't, you know, do the things that he wanted to do. And I get that because that's how I felt when I first got injured. I felt that my life was over. But what I felt would be a more appropriate narrative would be to like, hey, Miguel, you know what? You might be paralyzed from the waist down, but you can still live a really fulfilling life. You know, you've still got your personality. You've still got your upper body. You've still got you could still be creative. You could make vlogs, you could make artwork, you could still make people laugh, you know, you're still you, man. It's all good. I'm not saying like you shouldn't try to recover, you shouldn't try your hardest, but if you fail, like 99.9% of people do, not because they haven't tried hard enough, which is another narrative which I really don't like, is because if you don't start walking again, you haven't tried hard enough. It's most likely that your spinal cord is damaged too much. Like there are people that do make miraculous recoveries. That's because they have some sort of their spinal cord maybe has like some sort of spinal shock, and then it sort of swells up, and then like the swelling goes down or whatever. But if you have your spinal cord injury cut, then it doesn't repair itself. It's not like a broken bone that just fuses together again. It doesn't do that. And so I think the narrative that if you don't try hard enough, then that's the reason you're not walking again is bullshit. And also the fact that if you don't walk again, then your life's over, because that's the opinion I had of myself when I was going through my deep depression, that because I couldn't walk and use my legs, that I was useless, I was a burden to society, and my life was over, and I wanted to kill myself. And I think that's just wrong. I know it's not Cobra Kai's responsibility to inform people about spinal cord injuries. Like, I know it doesn't fit in with their storyline, I get that. But at the same time, it's almost like misinforming people. But maybe I'm just being a bit oversensitive to it. But it really irked me, and I'd love to know your opinion on it. Maybe I'm being a bit oversensitive. Do you have an opinion on it? Let me know in the comments. That'd be cool. Also, there was another thing that happened with another series I was watching called Downton Abbey. And I know what you're thinking. What were you doing watching Downton Abbey? Well, Lou was watching it, and I said that to Lou. I was like, "What are you watching Downton Abbey for?" My mum watches that. Like, it's lame. But actually, it was really good. It's actually a lovely, lovely, heartwarming program. It's set like in the early 1900s, and it's quite cool. Anyway, my point is, one of the characters, Matthew, he gets a spinal cord injury from like coming back from the war, and he's in a wheelchair, and he was set to marry this woman, and she no longer wants him because he's in a wheelchair, and he refers to himself as lame and unworthy. He was referring to himself again like his life was over, and he wasn't worthy of this woman who didn't want him anyway because he was in a wheelchair. And then he again makes a miraculous recovery, literally just one day, just like moves his leg and is like, oh my God, look, I can walk again. And then he goes and marries this woman who didn't even want him before because he was, lame and like unworthy because he was disabled. And I don't like that narrative because Lou, like, bless her, she stuck with me through my disability. She loved me no matter what. Like, she was like, it doesn't matter that your legs don't work. I still love you. I love you for who you are. And this guy gets with this shallow woman who, anyway, it gets me a little bit emotional just because I don't know. I don't like the fact that if you're disabled, you're like unworthy of love and affection. And anyway, I don't know if I'm being oversensitive to it. I'd really like to know your opinion of it. So yeah, I'd really like to open up a little discussion. If you've got an opinion, if you've got a spinal cord injury, if you feel the same way, if you've watched the same shows, if you think I'm an idiot, if you think I should shut up and stop talking and end the vlog because I've been talking so long, then you're probably right. But if you made it this far, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Peace and love, baby. See you in the next one. Yo! And another thing, right? There's this bit where after he starts walking, they symbolically like just dump the wheelchair in the bin along with some crutches. And that just sort of, for me, it's symbolic of like wheelchairs are shit. The only place for them is the bin, and wheelchairs aren't that. Like for me, my wheelchair is not, I'm not confined to the wheelchair. The wheelchair gives me so much freedom. Without the wheelchair, I would be fucked, proper fucked. You know what I mean? That scene like really irked me as well. I don't know what it was about them just like dumping the wheelchair in the bin. Like, wheelchairs are shit. Like, come on, man. Like, wheelchairs liberate people with disabilities. Like, anyway.